In a world increasingly tethered to screens, where the physical realm often felt muted in comparison to the vibrant digital one, the whispers of virtual reality had always been present. For decades, it remained a futuristic dream, a staple of science fiction, an elusive promise on the horizon. But then, quietly at first, the whispers grew into a murmur, and the murmur into a roar. This is the story of how virtual reality rose from a niche technology to an integral part of human existence. It began, as many revolutions do, with a single, dedicated individual. Dr. Eris Thorne, a brilliant but reclusive software engineer, had spent his life captivated by the idea of true immersion. His early prototypes were clunky, pixelated affairs, requiring users to wear cumbersome headsets and navigate sterile, blocky environments. The public, while intrigued, remained largely unconvinced. A glorified video game, scoffed critics. Another gimmick, echoed investors. But Thorne persevered, driven by a vision of a reality unburdened by physical limitations. He understood that true VR wasn't just about visuals. It was about feeling, about presence, about the complete suspension of disbelief. His breakthrough came not from a massive leap in processing power, but from a subtle refinement in haptic feedback technology and a revolutionary algorithm for predicting user intent. Suddenly, the virtual world wasn't just something you saw, it was something you felt. Something that responded to your subconscious desires before you even articulated them. The turning point arrived with the release of the Nexus, Thorne's sleek, lightweight headset that finally broke free from the tether of powerful PCs. It was wireless, self-contained, and astonishingly realistic. Early adopters, mostly gamers and tech enthusiasts, were immediately hooked. They found themselves soaring through fantastical landscapes, engaging in epic battles, and exploring alien civilizations with a sense of wonder they hadn't experienced since childhood. But the real explosion came when the Nexus expanded beyond gaming. Architects used it to walk clients through meticulously rendered buildings before construction even began. Surgeons practiced complex procedures on virtual patients, refining their skills without risk. Educators transported students to ancient Rome, the surface of Mars, or even inside the human cell, making learning an immersive, unforgettable adventure. The initial years of the VR boom were not without their challenges. There were concerns about digital addiction, the blurring of lines between reality and virtuality, and the potential for social isolation. Governments grappled with new legal frameworks for virtual ownership and responsibility. Therapists explored the psychological impact of spending extended periods in simulated environments. Yet humanity, ever adaptable, found ways to integrate VR into its social fabric. Virtue vacations became a popular alternative for those who couldn't afford or physically travel to exotic locales. Virtual meeting spaces, complete with realistic avatars and tactile feedback, began to replace traditional video conferences, fostering a greater sense of connection among remote teams. Artists discovered new mediums for expression, crafting breathtaking virtual sculptures and interactive narratives that defied the constraints of the physical world. The most profound impact, however, was on human connection. In a world often fragmented by distance and circumstance, VR offered a bridge. Families separated by continents could gather in shared virtual homes, celebrating holidays and sharing intimate moments as if they were physically together. Individuals with disabilities found new avenues for exploration and interaction, experiencing activities that were previously impossible. Lonely souls found communities and friendships in vibrant, inclusive virtual worlds, transcending physical limitations and societal barriers. As the decades passed, the Nexus, or its descendants, became smaller, more powerful, and virtually imperceptible. Brain-computer interfaces became commonplace, allowing for seamless, intuitive interaction. The line between what was real and what was virtual became increasingly nuanced, not in a way that diminished reality, but in a way that augmented and expanded it. Dr. Eris Thorne, now an elderly man, often sat in his private virtual garden, watching the sun set over an impossibly beautiful digitally rendered ocean. He had seen his dream not just realized, but surpass his wildest expectations. The rise of virtual reality wasn't just a technological advancement, it was a testament to humanity's boundless imagination, its yearning for connection, and its unyielding desire to create new worlds, not to escape the old one, but to enrich it beyond measure. The future, it turned out, wasn't just in front of us, it was all around us, waiting to be experienced. The world of the mid-21st century was a curious blend of the familiar and the fantastically new. While bustling cities still thrummed with life and natural landscapes offered solace, an increasing portion of human experience was unfolding in a realm unseen by the naked eye, virtual reality. It hadn't arrived overnight, but its rise had been an inexorable tide, reshaping everything in its path. For decades, VR had been a fringe phenomenon, synonymous with clunky headsets and rudimentary graphics. Dr. Eris Thorne, a visionary often dismissed as an eccentric, was one of the few who truly believed in its transformative power. He toiled in obscurity, driven by a singular obsession to create a virtual world indistinguishable from the real one, a world where the mind could truly believe it was somewhere else. His early breakthroughs, though crude by later standards, were revolutionary: a haptic feedback system that mimicked texture and resistance, and an AI that anticipated user movements with uncanny precision. The public's perception began to shift with the launch of the Nexus. It was sleek, lightweight, and most importantly, wireless. Gone were the days of tethered experiences. Users could move freely, their every gesture and subtle lean translated into the virtual space. Gamers were the first to embrace it, losing themselves in breathtaking fantasy realms and hyper-realistic combat simulations. But the true revolution began when the applications expanded beyond entertainment. Imagine a history class where students didn't just read about ancient Rome, but walked its cobblestone streets, witnessed gladiatorial contests, and conversed with holographic senators. Or a medical school where aspiring surgeons could practice intricate procedures on perfectly rendered, anatomically accurate virtual bodies, making mistakes without consequence. Architecture firms no longer presented blueprints. They invited clients to stroll through their future homes, adjusting layouts and materials in real time. The abstract became tangible, the distant immediate. Of course, such a profound shift wasn't without its growing pains. Debates raged over the potential for VR addiction, the worry that people would retreat into flawless digital worlds, abandoning the messiness of reality. Governments grappled with unprecedented questions of digital identity, virtual property rights, and the ethical implications of experiences that could be both intensely personal and widely shared. Therapists explored the psychological effects, helping individuals navigate the sometimes blurry boundary between the physical and the virtual. Yet humanity, with its remarkable capacity for adaptation, found equilibrium. Virtual travel became a booming industry, allowing anyone to explore the Amazon rainforest or climb Mount Everest from their living room, democratizing experiences once reserved for the privileged few. Virtual workplaces with hyper-realistic avatars and sophisticated collaboration tools blurred geographical boundaries, fostering global teams and reducing commutes. Artists found new canvases, crafting immersive symphonies of light and sound, interactive narratives that invited participants to become co-creators. Perhaps the most profound impact, however, was on human connection. In an increasingly globalized and often disconnected world, VR became a bridge. Families separated by oceans could share virtual meals, celebrate birthdays, and hold conversations with a sense of presence that video calls could never replicate. Individuals with physical limitations discovered new freedoms, able to dance, run, or explore in virtual environments unconstrained by their bodies. The lonely found vibrant communities, forging friendships and even romance within these digital spaces, often transcending societal biases that existed in the physical world. As the decades marched on, the Nexus or its descendants continued to shrink, becoming more powerful and eventually almost invisible, integrating seamlessly with neural interfaces. The line between what was real and what was virtual didn't disappear, but rather became a spectrum of experience. People moved fluidly between the two, augmented reality enhancing their physical surroundings and full immersion providing gateways to infinite possibilities. Dr. Eris Thorne, a quiet legend now, would often retreat to a bespoke virtual replica of his childhood home, the sounds of simulated rain drumming softly against the digital windowpane. He'd watch the ever-evolving virtual landscapes outside, a testament to the world he had, in many ways, helped birth. The rise of virtual reality wasn't just a story of technological advancement. It was a chronicle of human ingenuity, our innate drive to explore, to connect, and to endlessly reimagine the boundaries of what is possible. The future, it turned out, wasn't just something to be lived. It was something to be experienced in countless, ever-expanding dimensions.